and welcome to What Have I Just Read with Nadia, Michael and the Digital here on Monday, the 14th of August. And what have we just read, Nadia? Something horrific. It's horrible today.
Yeah, it was hard because there were so many names of people and places. Yeah.
Jeremiah likes his names. But also, this is like horrible murder, right? I mean, it's just like this Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, who murders Gedaliah. And it's kind of horrible.
Yeah, and Gedaliah was appointed officially by the Babylonian king.
Right.
And it looks like everything was okay when he was. So they lived in peace with the Chaldeans.
Right.
And then Ishmael came and murdered him, and then lots of unrest began. So
right. So and it's seen as something very treacherous, isn't it? Because he murders this. There's a comment I read that he murdered. He came and sort of when they was expecting an act of hospitality, murders them.
They ate bread together, and during this
festival.
Yeah, during the meal. Yeah,
it's Mizpah, right?
Yeah.
Mizpah.
Yeah. So it
says,
and when they ate bread together, he got up and killed him.
Yeah, and so it's considered he acted very. And we've got a comment from Fira here. It's vanished. It looks quite interesting. Gedaliah was warned by Jonah about Ishmael, but did not believe.
Yeah, this is the bit that was in the reading on Saturday.
Okay. Thank you, Fira, for that. Yeah. Right. So there was a warning, and this is a prediction that's coming true.
Yeah.
But it's also particularly gruesome, and some grim details about throwing the bodies into a pit, right? Into the cistern. And he said he used the system for throwing all sorts of bodies. It was it sounded like a horrible war crime thing. It sort of made him sound particularly violent and unpleasant.
Ishmael did a lot of bad things.
And there's a comment I saw somewhere that basically thinks that Ishmael was upset that he may have been passed over to be made the governor when Gedaliah was made governor of the area by the king, and that he may have been acting out of spite and resentment. But it just seems particularly gory.
Yeah, it's interesting actually so he was thinking about his own selfish motives, and then he brought, we can see this in this last passage here in this reading, so he brought a lot of unrest and a lot of suffering for the people, because it says that they had later when Johanan came, and then the one who had tried to warn Gedaliah previously in the previous chapter. So he came, and then Ishmael had to flee, but at the same time, Johanan and the people, they had to go to Egypt because of the Chaldeans. And it says here, they were afraid now of the Chaldeans because Gedaliah, whom the king of Babylon had appointed, was murdered by Ishmael. And because with Gedaliah appointed by the Babylonian king, they lived in peace. There was peace.
Right.
They didn't have to be afraid of the Chaldeans.
And
now they are.
So his actions have basically made people create a lot of unrest.
Yeah.
There's actually a comment on Wikipedia that says that Ishmael's actions were perhaps a key factor in the subsequent flight of the people of Judah to Egypt, which is interesting.
Yeah, so here it says, they had to go to Egypt.
Yeah. So anyway, very interesting. He created turmoil, and but sometimes there are people like that who around them do stuff that just creates havoc, and everyone seems to be upset, and there's a lot of nerves and unrest and stress.
For everyone around.
Yeah, exactly.
Lots of people get affected.
Exactly, a lot of people get affected. And then the next reading is
from St. Mark's Gospel.
St. Mark's.
So we continue reading this.
And this great readings about what are you doing on the Sabbath? Unlawful. Is it unlawful to act? I love that.
It's a very, very beautiful phrase. So that Jesus says that Sabbath was created for people and not people for the Sabbath. I think that this is very concise and very good to remember. Something that we often forget.
That's true, isn't it? How it's the Sabbath is supposed to help the people and the idea of rest and celebrating God, but then sometimes the thing gets switched around and you actually end up becoming slave to the idea where you sort of lose the spirit of the law and you become obsessed by the letter of the law.
And some people start judging others because of it, so thinking that they are very righteous and judging, criticizing other people's behavior, and this is
it's very interesting. And he says that lovely thing is for you to do good. Where is that line? He says, "Is it lawful for you to do good on the Sabbath?"
To save life or to kill.
Exactly. Is it lawful to do good or to do harm on the Sabbath, to save life or to kill? And there was silence.
Because there is this specific example of it. So those Pharisees, they expect Jesus, so they don't want him to cure the man with the withered hand.
Right.
Because it's Sabbath. And then they wait, so they don't care about this man with the withered hand, and they don't care that Jesus might help him. But so all they think of is just wait to see if he would do this, to accuse him of doing something unlawful on the Sabbath.
He says he was grieved at Jesus was grieved at their hardness of heart, and said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And it's amazing how they seem to be closed to these ideas of doing good. It's very interesting. Rather than trying to help someone who needs help there and do good, they're actually looking to implement law, which is part of their power base, isn't it? They're trying to. They're thinking of themselves rather than they're thinking of the good they can do to someone else. And they're immediatally conspired with the Herodians against how to destroy Jesus.
Actually, it was Herod. So remember, we read about John the Baptist being arrested last week, and then it was also Herod who beheaded him.
Right.
So,
exactly. Exactly. Herod's obviously very concerned about this King of the Jews thing. He's just a sort of a regular king, worried about his authority base. Fira says that I love this part of Mark, how Jesus confronts the perspective of the Pharisees. It's very true, isn't it? Two very different outlooks on the world. One about love, generosity, kindness, and the others, which is about kind of a hardness of heart, sort of living by the letter of the law. But also ultimately serving themselves.
And it's a brave thing actually that he does, because he knows that he will be confronted, and he knows that they are plotting against him.
Right.
He still says, "Stretch out your hand," and so he cures the man, knowing what will happen.
What will have the consequences? Yeah, great. Interesting readings today. Anything else? Should we stop there?
Yeah.
Excellent. Great. Good to have you with us. Lovely. Fira, thank you for joining us and adding your comments. Thank you, everyone else. And hopefully maybe back tomorrow. We'll see.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Have a great week.